Content of this podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not licensed therapists, counselors, or mental health professionals, and while we aim to provide insightful and helpful discussions, our views and advice are based on personal experiences and general knowledge, not professional expertise. If you are seeking professional mental health support, we encourage you to consult a qualified therapist or counselor. Welcome back to Lattes with Lucy, a special bonus series of the Royals of Malibu. Remember, you can write or upload your questions at emeraldaudio.co/Lattes with Lucy for a chance to be featured on the show, or check us out at the Royals of Malibu, and you will also see many more posts like about the show. Or check out our Instagram at the Royals of Malibu to learn more. Ladies, we have one of the most iconic humans of all time. She's a queer icon, whether she likes it or not. Frachesca Agramonte, aka the voice of Val. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And I love that I'm an iconic Leslie.
Yeah, how does it feel?
It feels great. It feels fun on this side.
I only got to meet a few people when I was recording. And by a few, I mean like basically just Ella. And so, aka Alyssa. But,
yeah.
So you are one of the many people I did not get to meet, which was so annoying because I've only ever met you on our previous Zoom together for the like royalty of it all. And then we figured out we have the same agent, but that's a conversation for another day. But anyway, okay, because I don't know you insanely well, and I think some of the fans would like to know too, like the whole kind of premise of this show is like based on the fact that like I am basically the same as Lucy, and I would love to know how similar are you to Val?
I am so similar to Val. I am really like the voice of reason in my world. Just because I have way too many opinions and I don't know how to hold them in. I'm trying really hard. I'm learning to be like, do you just want to vent or do you want my opinion? I'm learning to do that now. But I think we're really similar in that sense. I think she's much bolder than I am. You know, sometimes I'll overthink before I say something. But even when she was going through her breakup and kind of holding everything into herself, I'm very similar in that way where I will hold things in and then 1 minute I just like pop. And everyone's like, why were you so quiet? You don't have to hold it together all the time. La, 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 la. So I feel very connected to her.
Yeah, 100%. Also, Emma, we're really also thrilled that you're back from your bout with illness.
Oh, thank you. I'm a survivor.
How does it feel to be back?
It feels good. I ate some bad sushi. Honestly, it's kind of my fault because I got a poke bowl on Monday night for dinner. I didn't finish it. I put it in the fridge and then I decided to eat it for lunch, which was probably where I erred. And then I spent the next 24 hours basically being sick. So, but then I woke up.
Did it taste funky?
It tasted great. It tasted fine. I don't know what it was. I've never really gotten food poisoning before, but the next day after I slept, I woke up a brand new woman and I was perfectly fine. Thank you for holding down the fort with Lindsay. I think that was a fun episode.
Oh my God. It was honestly great. I feel like Lindsay was like a casting, she did casting for the pod. She also wrote some of the pod. She's like an amazing producer and she's producing my podcast, which theoretically will come out. And I feel like, and all we do is talk about like my podcast. And so it was, and like, we just never like have time to schedule just like fun time. And so it was actually really nice to just be like, oh, we're two gals gabbing away. Okay. Before we get into the hot topics of today, Franchesca, what's your favorite moment from recording Royals? Do you have one?
I think the fight scenes are always so fun because you never really get to do these things with everyone in the room with you. So those are always really exciting. I also really loved when like Savannah took a turn and we all became besties. I think that was really fun too. Even like when you're just watching everyone do it, there was a moment where Ella got really emotional. I can't remember what happened. But everyone was crying. Like it's just a beautiful group. the whole process. It moves so quickly, and we just get in there and get to work and finish. And I'm like, no,
I know. I know. I feel like I kept begging them to like have me anyway. And I kept being like, if you like want me to like come, like I'm literally, I think I spent a collective like 4 hours total recording this show. And I was like really mad about it, but like not really, but also sort of, but not in a way that like actual, because it's like, that's just scheduling. But I was like, oh, I wish there was a really inconvenient way for me to come every day for 10 minutes. You know,
just want to say hi to everyone.
Yeah. I just keep showing up. They're like, Lucy's done. Like, get out of here. Anyway, all right. Should we like dive right in and give advice? Yeah, Franchesca, are you ready to take on this honor and this privilege and this burden, which is guiding the fans?
It does feel like all of those things: an honor, a privilege, and a burden.
A burden in a good way, but like it's a weighty request.
Yeah, I am a girl's girl, so I'm always ready.
We love that.
She's
for
ready.
the story, for the chisme, for the tea, and I have my latte.
Oh my God, look at that. All right, Emma, take it away.
All right, let's do this. So our first question is anonymous. It's a short one. Thought we'd start out short and sweet. All right, here we go. I have a big crush on my coworker. We are at the same level / not each other's bosses or anything like that. Should I act on it?
Ooh. It's really fun when they give us no context.
Every episode, I'm like, can I ask questions? I have a few questions.
We have some follow-ups.
I know.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Wait, sorry. Before we dive in, one of my friends told me the other day that when she listens with her friend and they like pause after we read the question and like decide what they would say. And then they hit play and then they listen to what we say.
Do they usually agree?
Honestly, I love when I realize that people listen to this because the pod is like in such a vacuum sometimes. It's so weird. Anyway, Franchesca, crush on the coworker. What do we think?
I think in nowadays dating the bar is in HE double hockey sticks. So it's like if you connect with someone, you definitely have to go for it. But I do believe that because you work together, you should take your time and focus on a friendship first. Because if it is your person, then you are only going to win if you work on the friendship first. And I feel like I personally have met people and instantly connected with them and thought like, oh, this is going to be great. But then I realized later on down the line, like, I actually don't like you. And if I would have just took my time, I could have figured that out sooner and avoided like the hard conversations, the awkward moments. So I say go for it, but focus on a friendship first, because if it's the one, and forever is a long time. If that's what you're into, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, I like to not, as they say, shit where you eat. That's the phrase that comes up, which I think is disgusting. But I think, okay, so I did have like a summer romance at one of my jobs at a restaurant in the Hamptons. And it was like very out of a movie. And it was like, I was in the Hamptons for the summer trying to make money to move to LA to the big city. And, you know, and I did get like carried away in a relationship that summer. And I feel like it was messy at times, but it like absolutely changed my life. But like huge asterisk, like it had an end date and I was moving to LA. And so I think there's a difference between dating someone in a seasonal job and dating someone in your current job. Now, like for the seasonal of it all, yes, get swept up in it, do it. There's going to be like stupid nights where you're like mad at each other, but then also it makes like, especially someone who's like been perpetually in the service industry, like it really does make those jobs tolerable. And but I feel like, for instance, right now at the restaurant that I'm at now, there isn't anyone specific, but it's like I've like thought about different things, and it's like my life is so chaotic. We were just talking about this before we hopped on. Like my life is so chaotic with so many different things demanding my attention and stressing me out in various ways that it is really nice for your job and your workplace to just be like neutral. And so I think you have to protect your peace, and kind of like what Franchesca's saying, like if this is your person and the way you met was at work, amazing. Just be like really, really sure, because then if anything goes wrong or awry or gets messy, you're making the place where you unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, spend most of your time like a battlefield. So just make it a conscious decision. Work crushes are fun. They're exciting, but just tread carefully.
Yes, that is definitely it.
I agree with everything you guys said. I think establishing that friendship is so important first. I think the other advice I would give is prepare yourself for if it doesn't work out, that you guys break up. Like, is this someone that you're working on the same team with every single day? Or is this like a coworker that's like in a different department that you see in the elevator like every morning? You know, like if it's really going to affect your career, and I'm assuming you like your job, I would be careful about that.
Because if it's like a seasonal job,
right,
great. Yeah. But if you're working at your like corporate 9-to-5 career that you're seeing long term, it could get so tricky.
It's so hard though, because at the same time, like this is what I fucking struggle with, is like, how are people meeting people except where they fucking are, which is work. And it's like, we're not giving the fun answer, which I like. I rarely give the fun answer. All the guests come on and give like the fun answer, and I'm always like, well, realistically, you know. But I do feel like it is hard though, because like that's what I'm struggling with. It's like the other thing too, just to like brief kind of like aside to this, like the adjacent topic to this, is that like sometimes it's like a relationship of convenience. Like it's like, do you like this person? Are they even that great? Are you just around them enough and you're wanting something, and there they fucking are? Like that's the question too with work stuff, is like you come to get really close with people that you might not normally, because I don't know. It's, again, I wish we had more context for what kind of job. I don't have any corporate experience. Basically, I'm like I work in restaurants, which like are the fucking wild west of bullshit, and like you can like flirt with someone and like fully on the clock and then completely do your job completely fine. Like I can like I dated the bartender at my restaurant, and like I can be like at the pass like getting a martini like and then go back to my table, and like no time has been I don't know.
Is there working in a restaurant, like is it like Vanderpump Rules? Like is there a lot of incest within the restaurant? Not
in my experience. It's kind of like when you ask doctors if it's like Grey's Anatomy. It's like no one has time for that. Like the Hamptons got messy. If I could meet Stephanie in the Hamptons was very Royals of Malibu. I was 25 and like it was very like I lived in a mansion with like all dudes, which sounds horrible because it was. And it was literally, you guys, I wouldn't step foot in the kitchen because it was like sticky on the floor of beer, and I was like, I'm just not. It wasn't like a girl's dream. I'm also like bisexual and like don't like most men anyway. But so, I think I didn't know that at the time. But I feel like maybe they confirmed it. But I feel like, there wasn't a lot of incest, but that was because there were like two women at my restaurant, and like one of them was already dating someone else.
When I worked in the service industry, it felt like there was a lot of like work bae, like work husband, work wife, and there was like a weird hierarchy where like the bartender always thinks they're the best thing that's ever happened to this world. And then the chef also thinks he's the greatest thing that the earth has ever seen. Correct. And when you're around them, it feels like you're in this bubble. And when you leave the restaurant, for me, in my experience, I just didn't hang out with anyone really. So it was like, I would see them at work, we're connecting, we're blah, blah, blah. And when I would leave, it was like, out of there. Yeah. Out of the vortex that was that restaurant.
Where was this?
Here in LA.
That's what I was going to say. So LA is very different from New York. In New York, there is such a culture of like, we work until midnight, we go get drinks until 2. And that's where it can get messy and tricky. And I think like unlike I've never actually watched Vanderpump Rules, but unlike reality shows, like for instance, like the reason everyone's like fucking each other on reality shows, like in general, I would imagine, like as a generalization, is because they're like sort of similar in age. In a real restaurant, like everyone's like in wildly different ages and wildly different phases of life. You have like the 40s and 50 somethings that are like lifers, like they are like hospitality people like through and through. You have people that are like 20 and like figuring, it's like they're, in order for like the incestuous thing to happen, that requires like multiple people to be like screwing each other literally and figuratively. And like I feel like that's just not the actual makeup of like a real restaurant staff. It's just not.
Yeah. They're also kind of like trauma bonding, you know? When you're on a reality show, the only people that understand what you're experiencing it is the people you're experiencing it with. So it makes sense that they're all hooking up because they're all, I don't know, it's a lot of new life things that they're experiencing together and they're connecting on that way. In my office job, I feel like when I meet people, my brain is not in the same place as when I'm out and I'm like, because I'm single and I'm like, I'm looking to date. So sometimes when I meet someone that's attractive, I'm like, ooh, like, let me straighten up a little bit. At work, I'm just like, that's off. Like my brain's not thinking that. I work at a casting office.
I didn't know that. Wait, that's so cool. You can tell us later which one. That's amazing. Oh my God. You must like feel like you get such an insight on like the industry.
I do. Oh, it changed the game.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next question after this quick commercial break. It's about some drama with a cousin. And we are back with question 2. So this one is from M, and she is from Mississippi. It's a bit of a long one, so stay with me. Here's my situation. I have this cousin. She's known to be dramatic and such, but I love her. She's my family. We got really close near the end of the pandemic, and she got me out of my house and introduced me to my ex, who's the sweetest boy ever. She really brought me out of my shell. However, she was often destructive. She would nitpick my friends, spread rumors about people, talk badly about my boyfriend at the time to my family, talk about my embarrassing secrets to other people. And eventually my boyfriend and I broke up. And after that, her and I got into a big fight. She said something that changed my brain chemistry. Quote, "You do deserve to be treated like trash. Now I understand why your parents treat you the way they do." She said it in a moment of anger. But when she said that, I was trapped in my house, no car, no friends to hang out with. I was literally alone for months stuck at my house, and those words played in my head over and over. Eventually, I ended up at a mental health facility. After getting out, Royals of Malibu actually helped me with so much motivation. I lost weight, started exercising and eating healthy. I distanced myself from her after that. But since doing it, I feel miserable. I miss her all the time. I love her. She's my family. She just recently got engaged and asked me to come with her to a play to catch up. I told her I couldn't. My issue is I physically can't be around her. I start having panic attacks and shaking. Just the idea overwhelms me with anxiety. My family says that I shouldn't be scared of her. It's not that I'm afraid of her. It's that her being around reminds me of the time in my life where I was trapped, hating myself because of what she said. I want to be there for her. I do miss hanging out with her. We always did new things together, but if I went back, I might destroy everything I've worked on, and my friends and family would resent me. I can't even go to any theater productions out of fear of running into her. How do I not let this fear rule my life? How do I face her?
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, I feel for her because, like, the trauma gets, like, stored in the body, and until you really, like, face it, it's going to stay there. I hope you feel validated in your feelings because they really are valid, and what you went through is really crazy when, like, the person that's the closest to you says something so nasty and just mean, just downright mean. I mean, there's a few ways you can do it, or a few things I suggest. I think journaling, everything you're feeling that you would say without any fear. That way you have a clear kind of map of what you want to say. I think also, I don't know if you believe in a higher power or the universe or whatever, but like ask for strength, you know, and you'll surprise yourself, and then just do it scared. I feel like sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and we will stop ourselves when we have the courage and the strength to do it all. These are the situations that kind of birth that out of us. You know, as much as heartbreaks sucked for Val on the show, it introduced another side to her, to the people closest to her. And it was out of a moment of bravery and fear and hurt and pain. And I think just leading with your vulnerability. You can't lose if you're living in your truth.
I don't think you can ever let in again someone that ever at any point thought it was okay to say what she said to you. And I think, I really wonder, do you truly miss her, or do you miss like the idea of her? Because while all of those times were fun, and like, it's not like you're imagining the positive times that were there, like they were there, but they came at such a terrible cost. And there is no way to disentangle those two things. Like, I think I understand that you love her and she's your family, and there is a certain amount of reconciling that might be just like logistically required for like the sake of the family. But I think it is absolutely right that you've been not willing to reconcile, because the reality is, like, there is, in my opinion, there is no chance that this person wouldn't do this again. Like, the moment she feels triggered or activated in some way, she clearly, when angry, defaults to saying incredibly hurtful, incredibly toxic things that are completely unacceptable and unforgivable. And I think what I would urge you to do is to work on, like you were saying, how do I, like, I think it's appropriate to be scared of her because you're scared of being treated like shit. And I don't think you should have to interact with her any more than you do, or you are required to. And I would think it's more productive and more healthy to work on, how do you not be scared at the idea of running into her in public. Like, I want you to still be able to go to the theater and not feel like you're going to run into her. And I understand feeling that way. Like, none of us are going to sit here and be like, no, you won't run into her. You'll be fine. Like, how do we know? You know, you might, maybe you will, who knows where you're running in from, but I think it's funny. I feel like I have very few like enemies in my life, but I do have a couple. And I so understand that like pang of panic where you're like, like I could run into this person at any time. And I think, A, the reality is you usually don't. And B, when you do, yes, maybe, of course, there's the potential for someone to be like, to cause a scene and be like, blah, 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 blah. But most of the time, people just kind of like avoid each other and like walk away. And I think, like, for instance, the fear that, if we talk in like therapy terms, like there's a lot of catastrophizing going on right now where it's like, I can't go to the theater because if I do, then I'll see her. And it's like, yes, that is a reality, but there's also like 900 other realities that are equally as possible. And I think you need to accept the uncertainty of that. But she's in a good phase of life right now. So she's probably like, extending a hand, extending an olive branch. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you really should, like, kind of like Franchesca's saying, like, have a conversation, do it scared, like, know that you can handle it. And if you do really want her in your life and you want this to be okay, you have a conversation and you really, really let her know that, I mean, it doesn't sound incorrect for me to say that her emotional and psychological warfare like sent you into having to deal with it at a facility, which is completely like, so glad you did that. But like, she arguably sent you there. And I don't know, like, obviously maybe there's a ton of context we're missing and there's other things in your life that, made you feel like you had to go and really take the time to work on your mental health. But like, no. If this was an abusive boyfriend, like, everyone will be saying like, boy, bye. And I think sometimes with like the warfare between women, it's somehow like, well, maybe it can be a reason. No, like, abusive behavior is abusive behavior. And not that anyone here is like saying anything problematic. I'm just saying it's okay to be like, no, I'm done. And I hate how your family is belittling your feelings of being scared of her, because like, she is scary. She has the ability in your mind to undo your mental stability. But I think what we're all trying to tell you is that the only person that can give her the power to do that is you. It's hard. And we're here for you. And we get it.
Yeah, I mean, feeling unlovable is it's a feeling that comes on its own in life through insecurities. But then to have someone you love say it to you and make you feel like that's who you are, especially for someone that's not even your family, like, over my ex, what? Tell him to kick rocks, like, I just empathize with you, and I hope that you're actively telling yourself that you are lovable, because you literally are. And your cousin is clearly going through some dark stuff that she said it early in the And what she shared with us was like, she's always kind of chaotic and there's always something with her.
Right.
So,
spreading rumors, nitpicking, like.
Yeah. It sounds like she's got her own inner battle. And I think she also has to consider that, like what you're saying, like you can also not. At the end of the day, your family, no matter what. That's the beautiful thing about family. You're going to be my family, whether I want you to be or not. But that doesn't mean you have to let her back in. And also, you have to just set firm boundaries because it doesn't have to look the way it looked before. She doesn't have to have full access to you. She has to earn that now.
Yeah. I also, another detail of this that I think is interesting, it seems like she kind of like preyed on you in a very vulnerable time in your life during COVID when she knew that you didn't have access to friends, you didn't have access to a car, you're kind of just stuck with her as your social life. And I think she knew that. And I also, maybe being a relative too, like she thinks she can get away with treating you badly. And I think now, like, you deserve to find a friend that you can have fun with, like you've had fun with her, but also won't say that kind of stuff to you, you know? Like I think she just preyed on you on a very vulnerable time in your life. And I also want to say kudos to you for getting the mental health help that you need. I think that is super important.
Yeah, I mean, you're really brave for sharing this and for actually like facing your feelings, especially in a time like COVID where we were left with nothing but our feelings. Yeah. Time and feelings to just sit with them. So I wish we can please write in.
I know.
Yeah. And let us know what happens. I know, me too.
Yeah, she has to protect herself, and all of the fun things and all the positive things that she used to offer you, you can find in a much healthier package.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. Like, you deserve the good parts in your cousin, but someone that can also treat you with respect and make you feel good about yourself, not tear you down.
I will say I've experienced something similar to this with my sister. And it was a thing that it was like a recurring thing that she would do. Like she would get angry and then just try to belittle me and just be really mean. And one year I just sat there, and before I would like fight back. And then one year I just sat there and I just let her say it all. And I just sat there and I didn't respond. And then the following day she was crying and apologizing. And in the moment, I remember telling myself, like, that's not my truth. You know, like, if I'm saying it back to myself, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. And then that's why I do feel like she should have the conversation, just because the next day, my sister and I had a real conversation, and she was like, I'm really sorry, like, da-da-da. And I was like, honestly, I don't accept your apology. We can move forward, but it's going to take time. And in having that conversation, it completely changed our dynamic. Like, it's never been that ever again. She's super apologetic. She's super supportive now. And it was really beautiful to have it kind of go full circle, because it felt like it was going to be this thing that me and my sister are going to be fighting forever over nothing, over her not being able to handle her own anger, because I just never understood where it came from.
Yeah.
And now I want to say that was like 3 years ago. It's never happened again.
I think there's something about families where some people just assume like love is unconditional no matter what you do, which I think there's something beautiful about that. But to an extent, like you still deserve boundaries with family members. Like I think that's why familial abuse is so prevalent, because people think they can get away with anything because you're blood. But
exactly,
that's not okay. That doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
Heavy shit today.
Heavy topics. Damn.
I feel like I want more content.
I know. Do you guys have any advice?
Well, it's like, do either of us need advice, or like Franchesca, is there anything like you want to like unpack here?
I feel like all the heavy stuff in my life right now is so heavy that sharing it would just be too much.
That's fair. I have a light one if we want to talk about something light.
Oh, Ella has one. Okay.
So I met this guy a few months ago. I go to Soho House a lot just because I work from home and I like to work from there. And he messaged me on the Soho House app, asking me about like work related stuff. And then he asked me to get drinks. So I got drinks with him. And I wasn't sure, like usually it's like networking stuff at Soho House. And it totally like turned into like a date. Like the drinks turned into like dinner. Like he paid for everything. It was like kind of flirty, but not like fully.
I love this.
I went into it like with like my professional brain on, but I'm like, this is definitely a date. Like, this is not. We didn't. He asked me if I had a boyfriend, like all these things. And then like he texted me afterwards, and then we hung out again, and then I didn't really hear from him for a while. And then we hung out again, like in a group setting for the third time. This is all over the course of the month. Like this, I saw him like every other week. Nothing happened. I was like, okay, he never made a move on me. We've hung out 3 times. So like maybe this is like a friend vibe, but then he's texting me, hey, how are you on random days? Which I don't really text.
Yeah, like
friends
why?
Yeah. It's
What is the motive?
Yeah, what is the motive? And then after the third time we hung out, he works in music, and he texted me. He was like, hey, is there a way that we could work together somehow? And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what this was the whole time. Like this is like a networking thing. Like, I wish you were just like upfront with that, because you totally gave me like date vibes.
Yeah.
And Did you say that? Or you're just saying that to us?
No. Okay. So I was thinking that. I was talking to my girlfriends about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask him. Like, I'm at a point in dating now where like, I don't want to waste my time. Like and also like professionally too. Right. Like, I don't want to like explore anything, like any kind of collaboration if like that is still, if it's vague like that. Like, I just like to keep, like you said, Steph, I don't like to eat where I shit. I'll say that.
Shit where you
eat. Is that what you said? What did you say? I don't remember. What does it say?
It's the other way around.
I don't like the shit where I eat. Eat where I shit.
Definitely don't eat where you shit ever.
Definitely don't eat where you shit.
Okay, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send.
You said something.
Yes, so I sent him a long message. I'm like, hey, like, would totally love to explore that if it makes sense. Like, I'm happy, send me like information. Like, I didn't promise anything, but I'm like, I'll look into it. But like, want to be clear, I totally thought the first 2 times we hung out gave me date vibes. Totally fine if not. Either answer is totally fine. I just want to like be upfront and clear about it. And his response is, yeah, honestly, that was kind of my intention. Dates. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
What are you doing this weekend? Like, let's go like get a drink or something. He said, yeah, I got to do this, but then I should be done at this time and I'll text you. I'm like, okay, great. So I hung around my Friday night, like waiting for him to text me, because we had plans to hang out, not like a direct time. And he doesn't text me. I was like, so do you want to like go here at 8:30? And he just doesn't respond to me. And I like canceled all. He didn't respond to me. And then Monday, he texted me asking if I had a chance to review his like email about.
I just blew out everyone's eardrums. No.
Yes. And I'm like, what? I'm so confused. Like, I gave you the opportunity to say that this is just a networking thing. But then he owned it. He's like, yeah, I wanted, those were dates. And I was like, no hard feelings either way. Just let me know. So I'm very confused.
Well, this guy just shot himself in the foot, because he's not going to get to date with you or collaborate.
Or no.
And then he's texted me like 2 times since. And I didn't respond.
You just didn't respond.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway,
yep.
I guess my question is, do you think I should explain to him why I'm not responding, or just like don't even bother? Like, do you think I should help him out a little bit and be like, dude, like this is not how you should treat dating or business?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people listening would be like, you don't owe him an explanation.
I don't.
And I don't think you do, but it is annoying when you're like, is it my place? Because clearly you're going about thinking this is like it's just, I actually don't think you need to say anything unless you feel like it will help you get closure, to be like, by the way, this was really shitty of you. You do not need to, because like he's going to figure it out when no one wants to work with him or date him.
Yeah.
I also agree. I don't think you need to say anything to him.
It's hard because he was a really nice guy. Like, he was, in person, he was nice. It's just like very confusing.
I'm just really of the belief that like if a guy likes you, confusion will never be in the picture.
Absolutely.
Like you will never doubt it. You know, you'll just know.
No, I know I'm not going to date him for sure. It's just more so like, I don't know.
But it sucks, and you're like grieving the loss of like something that could, and it was a meet cute, and it was like, oh, we like respect each other professionally, like this could be great, and it's a huge bummer and such a Los Angeles story, and it's like people need to realize that like you can't like use people and just it's just so.
That's the problem with dating right now, where everyone is almost like tippy-toeing through it because we're just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then it's once you get a second of hope of like, oh, this is cute, this is gonna work out, then all of a sudden it falls apart. And it's things like that where the people are not clear on what they want, what their intentions are, and then they are, and then their actions and their words are not aligning. Yeah. It's just,
that's my thing, actions and words not aligning. I hate that.
Well, I was gonna say, how old is he ish, if you could guess?
My age.
I was gonna say, this just like reeks of like mid-20s to me, where it's like people like I agree with you. Like, I do trust Emma's instinct on who's good and bad. And like, yes, I'm sure like at his core, he's not a bad person. He's just inexperienced and like jazzed and like on this like ego high of like being a go-getter and being ambitious and thinking he can have it all. And then you realize like, oh, I have to treat people well along the way. And like you said, it's like, it's not like it wasn't like, you know,
but in person he did treat me well. Like, he was very sweet. That's why I was confused.
Well, and I think people are blinded by their own aspirations, and it's just like, yes, is he a horrible person? No. Is this like unfortunately very common? Yes. Is it right for you, someone who is like incredibly capable, as most adults are, of like keeping professional lines clear and personal lines clear and communicating that?
If he would have said something about missing the text on Friday, then I can totally get over it. But because he didn't acknowledge it, that's what's weird to me.
So weird. I'm like,
and so self-serving and so gross. And it makes me question his dating intentions at all. Are you saying that because you think that gets me more in with you for this professional reason? Or did you mean that? I don't know. But it makes you doubt that. And that's where I understand you're like, by the way, like, you know, if you want my 2 cents, like, you know, you need to be really clear because other, you know, but it's like, no, like, honestly, fuck it. Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't
well, that's why I sent that long text being like, just like, I want to know what your intentions are because I have no idea. And I gave him the opportunity, like, no hard feelings, just tell me.
Anyway, gals, we do have to get back to our lives, but this has been so fun.
It's been so fun.
I know. I love it here.
Thanks for joining us, Franchesca.
Thank you for having me.
As always, everyone listening to this incredibly ADHD but wildly fucking fabulous conversation, we want your questions. Head to emeraldaudio.co/lattes with Lucy to submit your voice memo or write in your question, and check out our Instagram at the Royals of Malibu to learn more. All questions can, of course, remain anonymous, though it is fun when we know your name. I like saying people's names. No topic is too cringe, too embarrassing. We are here for you to be the Lucy to your Ella, the Ella to your Val, Franchesca. Anytime, anywhere. Come back next Monday for more, and be sure to follow the show at the Royals of Malibu. Follow Emerald Audio at Emerald Audio Network. Follow me, Stephanie Sherry, at It's Steph Sherry. Follow Franchesca
at Frachesca __A.
Complicated. A.
It's really hard to find a name for my name. Sorry.
No, it's perfect. And Emma, follow Emma at
Emma Bobemma.
That's so cute.
Thank you.
So cute. Love you all.